Hey there, Absolutely Gospel music fans. I am so excited to be here today with an absolute legend in the recording industry. We are here with the always awesome and fabulous Miss Angie Primm. How are you doing today, Miss Angie?
I am wonderful. I'm glad to be here, see you, and being able to speak to you is awesome. You know, we had a lot of questions about Brother Dion. I used to call him Pastor Dion, and I loved him so much. So you sitting there looking like a younger version of him just blesses me beyond measures.
Well,
Thank
I have heard that my whole life. Funny anecdote is um, people used to stop my mom in the grocery store when I was probably 2 or 3 years old, like sitting in the little front basket, and they would stop and they go, "He has to be Dion Unthank's son." So, I have heard it my whole life. So I'm used to it. And now my oldest son, Kanan, is pretty identical to me. And so he's going to get it too the rest of his life. So the unthanked genes continue, right? They are there through and through.
Congratulations. I love it.
Well, thank you. So, Miss Angie, we are going to talk mostly. We want to talk about, of course, your new record, which is phenomenal. I've listened to it a few times. We'll have a review up on the site pretty soon as well, and just phenomenal, of course. But for those who are uninitiated on Angie Primm or Angie Primm Ministries, give us a little bit of your background in terms of how you got your musical background, how you got started, and then kind of to where that's led you to today.
Well, first of all, let it be known that I'm old. I'm 60 years old. And next month I'll be 61. And I'm like, dear God, how did that happen? Where did the years go? But I started professionally singing in 1986. I've always sang. My mother was a singer. My sister, she actually was a background vocalist for James Brown. So it was in my genes. I had no idea. I remember as a little girl, I used to, love to play football. Everything my mother thought that a lady shouldn't do, I wanted to do. And that included not singing. So when I told my mom, and she was a singer, so when I told her, I said, Mom, I don't want to sing. That's not what that's not what I want to do. I don't want to sing, and I don't want to sew. I don't want to do ceramics. I just want to date and go out and think. And my mom said, well, until you're old enough to decide what you want to do and you pay your own bills, you're going to do what I say. So I'm saying you are a singer, and until you can afford to do otherwise, that's what you will be doing. So that just shot me down just, a few notches. Every now and then, I try to dig in a little bit, dig my heel, but it didn't work because my mother, she was insistent upon me being a minister unto the Lord with my singing ability that I was just unaware of. And from there, my ex-husband dropped me off at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And he decided to marry while we were still married. And I knew that I wasn't a Mormon. So I decided that I needed to move on. And at that time, I was singing for a television show called Bobby Jones Gospel. And that was where I received my first honorarium as a singer, was when I started doing the television show. And I didn't even know that it was possible. So when I got my first check and it was $50, and I was like, thanks, but what's this for? And he was like, it's your pay, for the session. So this was 1986. And this is when I just launched the career. And I was like, because I've always sang in churches, Sister Wright is in the house, or Sister Angie is in the house. Would you render us a selection? Or the pastor would call. I was never paid for that. That was church. Right. And I loved it, So when it became a profession, I was like, this is a check? And he was like, you're in Nashville. Welcome to Nashville. And from then on, I began to get called for different sessions. A lot of people loved the different flares that, we as background vocalists, as Black gospel background vocalists can do. They enjoyed it. One producer asked us, he says, now on this part of the song, he said, I want you to sing some of those slave tones. And we were like, slave tones? And we were like, what does that mean? And Gail, she is my partner in crime. And she said, did he just say slave tones? And I was trying to calm her down because, she was raised on a plantation in Mississippi. So things like that, she's real sensitive to. And I was calming her. I said, no, 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 no. I said, I think he means ad libs, ad libs. And he was like, yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But, we sing a lot for country artists. And if you know anything about country music, it sounds like gospel. It's the mixing of the two. So when they hire us, they're wanting all that we bring. And it could just be, just a simple woo. And they're like, cut it. And I'm like, yeah, get my check and let's go home.
Right.
So that's been my life. And I thank God that it wasn't even a journey that I sought after. He just gave it to me. He did, just like birth. I wasn't asked to be born, and here I am. And I didn't ask for a singing career, but here it is by the grace of God. He has blessed my career.
Well, I was gonna kind of save this for later, but I want to know, like, so what's some of your most memorable sessions? Like, who have you like recorded for that was just like awesome, or that you got to sing with on stage? What are some of the highlights of your career?
Oh, listen, a lot of people may not remember her, and you probably, because you're young, but my first and my most memorable, and I want to say my favorite secular artist that I've ever sang with was Barbara Mandrell. Do you remember her?
I remember Barbara Mandrell.
And this little thing, her and Dolly Parton, they were, close. And whenever we would be in a session with her, Dolly would show up, and Dolly would come in and Mandrell would show up. So they were like this. But I remember going to Vegas with her. I was on tour with her, and she was so protective that she was almost mothering, because she knew there were a lot of things that were going on in Las Vegas that she did not want me as a Christian and the others who were kind of, we were kind of stand backish for the different kind of parties. And she was like, you're really a Christian. And I said, I am. She says, well, this next event I'm going to put you in my dressing room. I don't want you exposed to the after party. I'm only there to sign some CDs, and after that, I'm going home too. So I'm going to tuck you in here until it's over, and then we'll come and get you. Rest, do whatever you want. Make yourself at home, child, and I'll come back and get you. And that stuck with me as a 29-year-old, as a 28-year-old, that stuck with me. And I was like, wow, and she would take care of you. And of course, Bobby was the launching of it. I cannot, he is due his credit, because he trusted me, to introduce me to a world that I did not know anything about, And people think I just started recently with Bill Gaither because of the solo career that he launched me out on 2012. But I've been singing for Bill Gaither for about 29 years, almost 30 years, because he would hire me for his sessions. You see, he had Linda Randall, and then he had Jesse Dixon that he was recording. So he wanted that Black gospel sound to be on their track. Right. And then he had, another Southern gospel artist who would choose a song that was popular in the black gospel. He would call it, hey, kid, can you come over to such and such, and we're going to do such and such, and do your thing, So I've been in love with Bill Gaither for years, but right. I never never ever thought that I would have a solo career with him, because he was Southern gospel. Right. And I didn't think he would take the chance, but he did, and he does it, and he's very careful about it. Yeah. You have to see him when I'm on stage. He is directing me to let me know, okay, this is acceptable, but okay, be careful on this, because they won't understand. And right. He'll tell you, kid, I want you to win. I just want you to win.
That's great.
And he knows how mean people can be.
Sure. Yeah.
And Bill Gaither, he protects me from that. And I
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Because, you know, I mean, Southern gospel and Black gospel are not strangers. Like they're very much, you know, Southern gospel is very much influenced by that world, you know, the Black gospel world, and, you know, the harmonies, and yeah, and we don't have big choirs, you know, there's no Chicago Mass Choir in Southern gospel, but, you know, we borrow from that genre so much, you know, and so it makes sense that you can just be planted right smack dab in the middle of it and thrive. And so that's what I love. And so it brings me to your record that I want to talk about. You recorded it live at Daywind. It is just, it's such a fun record, because to me, it's like, this is what it's like to have church with Angie Primm, right? And so, you know, you give your testimonials, you know, you give your little intros that just, it expresses how you feel about the song that you're about to sing. And it just feels like you're in church, you know? And so tell us how this record came about. What inspired it? You know, give us the lowdown on this new album.
Oh, Chris, I'm still looking under rocks to make sure that this is real. Like, this is this really happening? You know, and I was stepping into the studio, and I called my husband when we got done with, because it was a session done, the singing was done over 4 days because people were coming in and out. And I told my husband, I said, baby, I'm driving real careful. Don't think anything is going to has happened, but I'm just driving real slow. I feel like this is too good to be true. And if I step out of the studio, I'm gonna be hit by a truck. I'm getting ready to die. I said, but I'm not afraid of death, but something's happening here and I cannot explain it. So maybe I am getting ready to die, but it's awesome when I have been doing a session here and there with a beautiful young man. He is 80 years old and his wife just turned 80. And but I've been working for them like 6 years in the studio. So he sings for nursing homes and he works at a Methodist. He works as a farmer, retired from. He's a retired school teacher, and he goes to a Methodist church. Went to visit his church, and it was just so sweet. You know, they were so humble, and still drinking out of the same Coke bottles. And I'm like, ew, you know. They're like, we've been doing it for 50 years, Sister Angie. And I'm like, oh, it's wonderful. So I got an email in the 28th of January. And it says, Sister Angie, I pray you and Brother John are doing fine. Well, let me back up, because I know him from he writes songs for nursing homes. So he would hire me to go in the studio and do all the background vocals. So they pay me anywhere from $150 to $200. I do 6 passes of all 3 parts. And the song is wonderful. He takes it and ministers to the nursing home. So I got this email and he said, Sister Angie, I pray you and Brother John are doing good. Linda and I, we are doing wonderful. We haven't gotten COVID and we're taking care of ourselves. And the Lord laid it upon my heart to be a blessing to someone who blesses me every day. And if you would consider our gift, I would love to pay for you a project. It's a CD and it's a live DVD, and it's something that you can possibly take on the road, and it could help you with your revenue a little bit if you wanted to sell a few pieces.
Wow.
So I'm thinking he has COVID and doesn't know it. Oxygen is not going to his brain. Right. So I'm thinking, he doesn't know what he's saying. So I gave it a couple of days, you know, it was on a Saturday. And then that Tuesday, I believe is when I called him and I said, Brother Dennis, this is Sister Angie. And he was like, oh, Sister Angie, it is so wonderful to hear from you. I'm glad you got my message. Is that why you were calling me? And I was like, yes, yes. Long story short, he had already contacted Daywind, which has a package that you can purchase to do a live DVD. And I believe they started this just a little bit before COVID or during COVID, when people started doing Zoom, like you and I,
Right.
And so they offer this package. And I was like, Brother Dennis, but by me being a background vocalist, I focus more on BGVs. So I know they go in and they do live, but I have to have live tracks. I have to have tracks that I can lean up on. I said, then it's too much, baby. I said, because I appreciate your gift, but I will have to do BGVs, the mixing. But he says, I will pay for it all.
Wow.
And I said, well, okay. And then I started throwing things. I was like, well, because he asked me to name it Angie and Friends. And I says, well, okay, who are you asking? He said, well, I would love it if you were able to get Jason Crabb and Linda Randall. These are people he's seen me sing on Gators, right?
Right.
So them being under contract and schedule conflicts, I called him back and I said, I don't have no friends. He was like, now, Sister Angie. I said, they can't do it, and I'm sorry. He says, well, they were just mere suggestions, daughter, mere suggestions. Do you have anyone else? Well, I thought of the song, If I Can Help Somebody. So I was like, who would be a better person than Jean McDonald to sing that with the heaviness, the weightiness, the strength of a man? And he just helped this African-American baby, who's a sophomore in college now, but he took him in, adopted him, and Baby walks around and calls him dad, and I love it. And Terry, mom. And I'm like, that's, who does that? I love it. And I said, Jean, can you sing that? And with all the humbleness in his strong voice, yes, ma'am. I'm like, I love it. And then I was checking on Russ's schedule. He said, darling, I'd love to do it. And then I thought about the girls that I used to sing with, which you'll probably know in my heart. As you can probably hear it from my heart as you listen to the CD. I had not sang with them for over 29 years. And the only time we had come together was at one of our funerals, which was Emily. And there were 5 girls on the TV show that I was really close to. Chris, when I tell you, the Lord would bless the stages, we would have 3 and 4 hour altar calls, and Nuana and Beverly would sing through it all, pray through it all. And then Emily, myself, and Francine, the 3 background vocals, we would stand in the back and we would work the altar call. I knew how to do that. Coming from Pentecostalism, I knew that you sang until the last person got their breakthrough. So it was nothing, for me to do, but to hear the anointing, the sound of the anointing through these 5 girls. And it was on television every week. But the live performance, when you see God do the work and you interacted with the audience, it was, so I was like, this is a far stretch, but I'm going to see, because it says friends. Beverly, can you come? So by me not paying for it, Chris, it loosed my hands to try to please anybody.
Wow.
And I hope you hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could be the Black person I could be well, I don't want to say, but I have a white side, when I go to sessions, and I'm asking, I said, okay, so do you want the Black Angie voice, or do you want the white Angie voice? Because country, sometimes, you have to, it's the vibrato, it's the control,
Sure.
and I understand that. But all of it comes together in this CD, and there are no holds. My husband said, "Girl, you're crazy." I said, "I could be crazy. I'm not paying for it." It's me. Whether it sells or not, it doesn't matter, because it's a gift from God and I can just be myself. Huh?
Yeah.
When you travel in the Southern gospel realm, you have to be careful, because you can't be too Black. When you travel in the Black gospel realm, you have to be careful. You can't be too white, And it's all about what they hear, because your main goal is to what? Minister. So if they're not hearing you, why are you there?
Right.
What point is it?
What good are you there if you're not touching them where they are? Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going this weekend to an event that has no jewelry, none, not even bracelets, nothing, no pants, no. And a friend of mine that's going, she was like, "Now that's a lot." I was like, when in Rome, do as Rome do, so they can hear the message.
Right.
Because it's not about you, it's about the message.
Right.
So I am in between. I'm this mutt. I'm too Black for the white church, and I'm too white for the Black church. But God, He gave me this to say, "I'm with you, Angie." And it's a miracle.
Yeah.
I have 9 CDs that I've had to pay for. And this is the first one I've not written one check for.
Wow.
The mixing, the packaging. And then he says, "And to start with, we want to give you 300 pieces each. Is that all right?" Is that not? What do you say? What do you say when God just drops it in your lap? So I'm like you, I'm asking questions too. Okay, now, how did this happen, God? And who showed up and did what? And oh gosh. So when he said Daywind, the first thing I think about, Chris, is Southern gospel. I'm like, I want to be myself, but I have a white band. How's that gonna work? But you can't be too picky when it's a gift,
Right.
So I'm like, okay, we're going to see how Black gospel sounds with the Southern gospel band. That'll be interesting, but I can't judge it, because it's a gift from God. We got in that studio, and them white boys got to playing them Black notes. And it was all impromptu, Chris. And I'm singing and I'm looking like, now who's back there? God did it. He did it all. He did it all. Gary Primm. There is a note that he hits. There's a chord that he hits on "Oh, How I Love Jesus." Chris, you got to listen to it. That was not a pre-recorded track. That was live. And he hit that chord, and it like to, if I wasn't so familiar with the song, it would have jarred me, so I would have forgotten lyrics. It was that good. And I was like, "Oh, how I love you." It was just, I don't know what to say about the gifts of God. I just know that He gives them, and it is for you and His people to enjoy. And that's how it happened. That's how it happened.
But and that's what's awesome about it is that it is you, in that, I mean, it opens and you're like, oh, this is some great just church music. And then, you got Gene McDonald, and I mean, that's a straight up Southern sound, and Gene is phenomenal. I mean, I don't think, he is like, his range is just so expanded on that song. He's phenomenal. And then you got Russ Taff, and he's pulling in his old CCM rock licks, with you. And then you got your friends, and And I was so excited to see Beverly Crawford on the record because I've loved Beverly Crawford for years. And you know, and so
Really?
yes, and so
Oh,
you know, it runs the gamut of everything. There's something for everyone, and I'm excited for people to hear it. And we're almost out of time here before Zoom kicks us out. But I always end my interviews with one question. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I always end with the same question, and it is simply, what is God teaching you right now, Miss Angie?
to stay humble, remember who you are, and know who He is. That's what He's teaching me now. And all my Bible studies, in studying God, I'm finding out that I didn't know Him as well as I thought I did, because He continues to blow my mind. So He's teaching me to study Him and stay close.
Yeah,
Just stay close. Stay close.
that's good. That's
That's
good.
what
Well, Miss Angie, before we leave, tell people where they can get this new record, the new DVD, where they can find you in concert, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, go to my website, angelaprimm.com. That's my name, AngelaPrimm.com. There is my schedule. Also, I have a new book that's out, and the CD you can get from me, but I can't beat Amazon with their price or their delivery time. So go to Amazon. It's available. And the DVD is also available on Amazon.com. And I know that it's available on other things, but I'm an Amazon girl, so it's there. It's there.
Yes, I you sent me the record, of course, digitally, but then I've also listened to it on Apple Music and all that kind of stuff. So it's there. It's everywhere. But the big thing I always like to tell people, Ms. Angie, is if they're in concert with you, buy some product. So I don't care if it's a DVD or a CD or if it's a hat or a T-shirt. Support you in that setting because that helps you even more. So hey,
yes,
this has been wonderful. I love getting to talk to you. I love getting to hear you sing, of course, and hopefully everybody will check out the record and hopefully everybody will check out the record and of course get you some bookings and we'll hear you all over the place, I'm sure. So once again, it's been great, Miss Angie. We will talk to you later.
Okay, honey. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.